Welcome back, my friends. You may recognize this guy. We've been on camera quite a bit. Mr. Yuto Matsuura's son. It's so good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Tony. Thank you.
We are at JIMTOF 2024, and I'm walking around your booth looking for you. I could barely find you because your booth was so busy.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad that we had a very busy morning and still it's ongoing. Well, it's quite a good start, considering it's the first day. Yeah.
That's exactly where we want to be. But I have a question for you as I'm walking around, and the majority of this show, I would make the discussion, has a lot of Japanese folks. But on your booth, why am I seeing so many international people?
Well, that's why we invited them.
Well, that's a good.
Course. But thankfully we are proud to release our newest model, which is the MX520T, and it will be discussed later. And we got a lot of inquiries, and it seems the customers from overseas got a lot of interest in that. So I'm very happy to showcase this machine with you.
Oh, Yuto, I want to keep you on camera for the next 20 minutes, but I know we're going to pass the microphone over to our good
disappear.
and never disappear, my friend, never disappear. But we are going to pass our microphone over to our longtime friend Dominic to give a whole booth tour, aren't we?
Perfect.
Yuto,
okay,
you are amazing. Thank you so much for your time. My friends, please come this way. This is my buddy Dom. Of course, you already know him. We see him all over the UK video, and that smile is absolutely famous, Dom. It's really good to see you, my friend.
Tony, nice to meet you. Finally on camera together, eh?
Finally on camera together. I see you all the time. I thought I was going to get invited to the UK, but I'll visit you in Japan. That counts.
But you need to speak to Paul, right? You need to speak to me.
Right, Paul? Right? All right. So as we're standing here, this MAM 72 42V, something that I immediately start thinking about is that I see these all over the place. I see this machine, and I think the pallet change systems are something that help people run high mix, low volume through the nights, through the weekends, make more money, reliability on precision, so you don't have to stress about coming in on a Monday and then having a part that's not good, even though we just called it automation. You have that reliability, but I'm noticing two things you might want to go into detail about. One, the part difference, and two, there's a cobot.
Cobot, absolutely. So on the platform, the 35V, as you well know, 30 plus years now in the market. So what we've done is we've stretched the size a little bit. So 35V denotes a 350 diameter workspace. We now have a 420 diameter workspace on the same platform, the same number of pallets, 32, same number of tools, 330 or 520. However, people have been saying to us, how about the sixth side, Dom? Okay, so we've been talking to Matsuura's R&D department, Yuto's team, and we've come up with a robot that replaces the man. So we now can do this unmanned, right? So we can machine the 5 faces on one vise, the sixth side on another vise. And this cobot is opening the door, opening the vise, turning the part over, taking the part off, putting it back on, all in lights out.
First thing I noticed from that conversation is this has been in the market for 30 years. That's
30
already know it's a global leader. And it's been in the market longer than you've been alive, I think, which is really the significance of the machine.
Really?
On top of that, when we think of six-sided machining, I've been in some machine shops where I got lost in a maze of blue machines because they had so many of them, and they improvised and started using a tabbing system so they could pop it off, little deburrs on the tabs themselves. But this even remedies that issue.
Yeah, well, the one-hit machining and breaking the part off is something that we've been doing for a long time, right? Something we adopted, especially in the UK in the aerospace industry. However, there is parts that do need 6 faces. If it's a block, you cannot get to the 6th side, right? So it's a prismatic 5, you can snap it off. But like we've just done a very simple demo, right? A dice shows 6 sides. So that could be a hydraulic part, it could be a medical part, it could be a scientific part, anything that's 6-side prismatic, not necessarily 5 axis, just 6 sides. This is a solution.
When I think of a 6-sided part, and I think about the complications that can go into machining 6 different sides on the majority of machines out there, I think about how many mistakes, and you said medical where precision is so very important, I think about how many mistakes can potentially happen in the operation and the moving from machine to machine to machine. How significant do you think it is to be able to do all of the operations inside of one setup, one machine?
Well, it gives you a better quality component. You know, if you look at, like you just said, moving the part 6 times, 1, cycle time, 2, moving of tolerances, right? So from a quality standpoint, every time you move a component, you stack up a tolerance because you've got the changeover, the fixture, the whatever. Doing six faces in one go is going to be a better accuracy. Being able to turn over to the 6 side automated means that you can now do that 6 side on the same machine in an unmanned condition, right? So the way that we've geared the machine up here on the stand is that it's still the run, the mix, the 1, the 2, the 5, but this is producing 100 components as a batch on 2 pallets, automated. That gives you now a closed loop. It's got everything. It's everything that people have been asking for, out of a box.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I honestly was never fussed about the opportunity to have so many pallets inside the machine and manually load and unload them. But the fact that I can now have a cobot to make that 6 side or just do the automation in general. Last question I have, which is going to be the same question I ask you on the next machine in just a minute, you'll get to see that one, is you mentioned we can get bigger parts in here. We talked about having bigger parts in here, but it's the same footprint as well, because across the US, I imagine with the UK being almost the size as the US, maybe real estate issues are kind of the same issue we have as well?
Yeah, we call it ROI on footprint, right? That's what we call it in the UK. At the end of the day, floor space is at a premium. It doesn't matter what shop, general subcontractors, job shops, floor space is a premium. So what we've done, it's the same footprint, slightly larger capacity, so we've obviously had the space within the machine to give you a 420 diameter instead of 350. The workpiece height is the same, the spindle's the same, the control's the same, everything's the same. So for those customers that are just wanting that slightly larger capacity than the 350 diameter, you've got the 42V.
That makes sense to me. Let's go ahead and walk over to the other. I kind of want to take this and see how good you are at playing craps, Dom. I'm not very good at that game.
Maybe later,
Maybe
right?
later.
Maybe later.
But as we take this walk, I also want to bring up the conversation that I've walked into so many machine shops and I've asked somebody, why did you purchase this larger machine? And it's because they say, I don't always have the parts that require a bigger workspace, but having this machine allows me to have those bigger parts when they come in and I'm not limiting myself, but it has taken more of their floor space. On that machine, on this machine, floor space is the same, but the inside capacity is bigger, so you're giving them the extra opportunity to have
Correct.
bids on those jobs without taking up more floor space.
Correct. So when you've got a larger workpiece, or especially when you multi-load parts, right? So if you now want to put a cube on or 3 vices on, what we started to find was that the machine, like the 420. So we've done the same with the MX420 as we've done with the MX330, right? So again, it's 10 pallets, 90 tools. However, when you get to the 330 size, when you start putting multi-loads, because the challenge is more on this machine, on the 330, because you've only got 10 pallets as opposed to 32.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you best utilize the pallets to give you hours? Hours on pallets gives you unmanned running, right? So what we found is that some of our customers were just pushing the boundary on the 330 diameter. So again, Yuto and his team gave us 420. What does that mean? That means for those parts that just stretch that limit, we can go out on diameter. Not so much it's going to be a different part in size, but the work holding. So the work holding that supports the component gives you that capacity. Or if you go from a 330 as a cylindrical diameter on a component, we go to 420. Now the MX420 is the same platform as the successful MX330. It's become second to the MAM 7235V, Matsuura's best-selling machine. Okay, and I pushed for this machine some time ago, right? We're going to talk about another machine that I pushed for in a little while. But
new one, right?
The new one, right? But this one has been an absolute scream of a success for all of us around the world. We've grown our new business around the world because of this model. And we continue to sell it, right? So it just, it's a slightly bigger brother, but not really that big, just a little.
Well, other than Yuto himself, and I'm gonna go ahead and give a shout out to my brother Billy over in the US. You probably know these machines better than anyone, right? And you brought up something that's important to me. If we can get the camera, we'll invite the camera over here. Look at that part on the back side over there. If you notice, there are 3 components being made, and I'll bring that up. And even to the left side as well, you have a small little tombstone in there. And I bring this up exactly to your point, Dom. Now we have one big part here, straight in the front, right?
Correct.
So we maximize the part, but what you've actually done done here with maximizing the overall space is more parts on a tombstone, more parts on that angled work holding piece.
Right, so we always say the best return on investment is hours on pallets. The more parts you can put on, the longer the cycle time. And that's been key. I'll be honest, in the UK, talk about my market, the amazing work holding and ideas that the UK engineer has done to get hours on pallets on a 10 pallet machine. They're running this machine 24/7 with 10 pallets. That's creativity in engineering, right? And that's where the 420 sort of has helped, because we can just put a few more. If you can get 2, 3, 4 parts more than the 330 per pallet, that's another 30 or 40 parts, right?
That's right.
You do the
That's
math.
right.
You don't have to be a mathematician, right?
A good thing because I'm not. That's a good thing. Something else I want to bring up, Dom. You mentioned 10 pallets here. You mentioned what over there?
32.
I thought you said 32, but I didn't want to misquote you. So 32 and 10. Something that's important, I think, that we often overlook, the audience might not even think about when we're talking about automation through nights, through weekends, making sure it's autonomous, making sure it's unmanned with the cobot, is how many tools these machines have.
Correct.
Right? The importance to have redundant tooling, or the ability to have all sorts of different tools to run all of the pallets that are in here. How many tools do each of these machines have?
All right, so the MX line, we do 90 on this model. On the machine we're going to talk about in a little while, it's 120 on a chain. MAM 72, we do a 330 base or a 530 base. Okay, so when we start talking about creating that vending machine, as I've always said, right? So it's pallets and tools. So when you have 530 tools, 32 pallets, in fact on the 35V platform, you can have up to 90 pallets. So we completely give you pallets and tools in a box. And we don't have a floor area that spans over 30, 40 meters. It's literally within a 8 meter by 4 meter cube, right? So when you talk about the vending machine, that's the vending machine.
That is the vending
That's
machine.
the vending machine.
Are you done teasing the audience now? Can we walk over to this new machine?
Yeah.
So since we're not teasing anymore and we're walking this way, I had a great opportunity, I know you have as well, Dom, to go into the Matsuura headquarters.
Yep.
And I got to do a video with Yuto-san where it was really ugly and really bad, my hand scraping technique. It was bad.
I saw the video.
But it was hand scraping, right? And I said, how long does it take you to do hand scraping? It says, as long as it takes.
Correct.
Precision is of the utmost importance when it comes to Matsuura, isn't it?
Well, it is, because that's the way I describe it to people, right? So I've been there a little while.
A little while.
A little while.
Less than 30 years. We already described it was.
I've been at Matsuura 34 years, actually.
That's incredible.
So I
I'll
started
shake
off
your
in-
hand for that.
Thank you very
well
much.
done.
So I started off in engineering. But if you look at what's a Matsuura, right? This is a simple way to describe our product. It's scraped mechanically as accurate as it can be within microns, 1 micron. So if you were to throw this skeleton up in the air, because it's perfectly aligned and in balance, it'll always stop in a different place every time. What does that mean? That means that over a long period, so longevity of a machine going up and down, sideways, you don't wear the machine out. That's where the 15 to 20 years life comes from in a Matsuura, because it doesn't have a high or a low spot. You understand what I'm trying to say?
100%.
Because mechanically they are perfect. That's why it takes as long as it takes.
I have never heard it described that way. I've always just expressed it as when you hand scrape, when you have that exact precision, you are investing not only in the future of your company, but the future of further generations, because the machines will last for decades on end.
But that's why.
That is why.
Why.
That's really, really well expressed. Thank you for that. All right, no more teasing. We are here. This is the new machine. This is what we're excited about. We even have a video coming just on this machine, so stay tuned to that one as well. Dom and I will be there. All right, Dom, we're done teasing them. Oh my gosh, is that thing spinning?
It's spinning. There you go.
Get in there, camera crew. Let's take a look at that. Are we spinning right now, Dom?
Here we are, yeah. So what we've got here is, again, the MX520 came into market 15 years ago. A few years ago, we added the 4 pallet changer. Today, we add turning. So it's an MX520T. Matsuura have supplied turn-in machines on a milling platform on the MAM 72, again, for over 15 years. But what we felt we wanted to do on our MX platform is give you a much larger capacity, a lot of torque, okay, on a 520 diameter by 325 mil high, milling and turning. So it's a multitasking, unmanned multi-tool machine. Brand new.
Okay, you know I got to unpack this a little bit, Dom, because that's a lot of information. And also, while I'm trying to unpack this, I can't help but look in the corner of my eye and just be mesmerized and lose all my words in this daggone conversation, but I'm going to try my best. One is, I see this bright yellow piece beside you. That is a really big potential workpiece for a machine this size.
Correct. So the MX 520 is, 520 denotes 520 diameter, right? So it's a big machine as a milling and turning product in a relatively small footprint. You know, when you look at a lot of the multitasking machines out in the field, to do this size of component, that turning center is huge.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have multi-pallet and multi-tool. Some do, some don't. But again, it's the multi-tool, multi-pallet thing. So for us, especially in the UK, this will come in as a multi-tool, multi-pallet. You can have the machine as a single table 5-axis with an auto door, and we could put a cobot. Okay, we can have hydraulic chuck, we can load and unload the part like we're doing over there with a cobot or with a dedicated FANUC robot. So we're not trying to go and win somebody else's market share. What we're saying is to our existing customer around the world, we now have the one machine that will mill and turn. So many shops will turn a part, then they'll mill it. They'll mill a part, then they'll turn it. Hey, do it on one machine, do it with a pallet changer, and do it unmanned.
Yeah.
There's your ROI.
This takes me back to where we started this conversation about how many times do we move a part around and potentially scrap it, have secondary work, have to start over, everything else.
Absolutely.
But as we talk about that, Dom, can I ask you a really transparent, authentic question? When we go into shops, and you know this, when you go into your shops, and I know you have so many Matsuura customers out there, and you see that gorgeous blue as you walk around, the sea of blue, you can swim through it, right? But we have to be honest with ourselves and go, when a customer buys into a product, when a customer buys into understanding how this machine works, understanding how this works here, it is often very difficult to pull them away from that situation unless there's just really bad service, which I know you don't have. But that's usually the transition is just a complete frustration, which I know you don't have. The reason I bring that up is because part of the reason for having this machine and this capability is to say, guys out there who believe and love in Matsuura, who have that pallet change, that run through the nights and weekends, that want the precision, all the things that we know to be true for Matsuura, we are adding another capability to your platform that supports your machine shop.
Right, so today is Tuesday.
It is?
Right.
I always get lost.
Yeah. So Friday, I have a UK customer coming just to see this machine, who has a shop of blue. He has MAM 72, H+, all with pallet changers. I told him about this machine. He's flying halfway around the world.
Of course he is.
To hopefully buy the first one off the booth on Friday, fingers crossed. Why? Because you just expressed why. The machines run, the machines are accurate. If they break, we come and fix them, right? But at the end of the day, he wants to keep that platform the same for continuity in the shop, for his workforce, so that obviously they have the commonality between this machine, that machine, that machine. Because at the end of the day, look, humans don't like change.
We love comfort. We like familiarity.
So it was just a little small gap in our product portfolio that we couldn't fulfill, and what we didn't want is to force that customer away from blue.
Very, very well said. As we close this tour out, I think you and I could probably talk for the next 3 hours, and I'd be okay with that,
Yeah, I'm
honestly.
fine.
I love learning from you. But as we close this tour out, I know this is the machine we kind of want to focus on. That's why we saved it for last, for everyone watching right now, kind of the big bang at the end. So I want to allow you an opportunity, a moment of anything you'd like to say for everyone watching out there to say, this is this machine, this is why we've developed it. We've kind of gone through it right now, but as a closing statement to all of Matsuura, because we flew halfway around the world to be at JIMTOF.
From both sides,
From
right?
both sides, yeah. You went one way, I went the other way. We're here for a very specific purpose. So I want to give you that opportunity to share with them.
Thank you. Well, look, we wanted to give our customer base and potential new customer something new something different. I believe we finally got that. If I said to you personally, it's took me 10 years to get to this point, right? So I'm happy today, very, very happy. Why? Because I can go to our customer base, not only in the UK, but around the world and go, look, we've now got this offering. And knowing Matsuura, if this is successful, watch out, there'll be more, right?
Yeah, always is. Dom, I'm really happy I got to spend time with you on camera. Thank you for educating me. It's been truly a pleasure. Thank you for joining me at JIMTOF. Thank you for joining us at JIMTOF as well. And we're going to go play craps now, and I think sing karaoke later.
Have you got some money? You got some money?
Well,
maybe.
Well,
we're not playing.
We're not talking about that right now. We're not talking. But we thank you all for watching. Thank you all for joining us in Japan. This is how we bring Matsuura live to the world. And if you spent time with us, time is the one thing that Dom and I cannot manufacture more of. So if you spent it with us, we appreciate it truly.
Thank you.